Hey guys, Courteaud here. Welcome to this month's property market update for Pukekohe. This month the market is still reasonably slow, much like last month. The average days on market, so the average length of time that properties are sitting on the market for when they are listed for sale, is just slightly somewhere over 30 days, 32 days. That's very similar to last month, and it's slightly up on the sort of 26, 27 days that we were seeing a few months ago. So it is a little bit slower. Auctions are getting passed in, so there's plenty of auctions that aren't selling under the hammer, although some of those do go on to get sold afterwards, either in negotiations just after the auction or then being marketed and sold in the weeks following the auction. So things are just a little bit slower. If you've been watching these updates, that won't come as a surprise. We've been expecting this. The LVR changes by the Reserve Bank have done this each year for the last 2 or 3 years. When they've made these announcements around changes to the LVRs, the market has slowed down. So the thing that's interesting about this slowdown is that the market was already kind of slow leading up to the slowdown, so things are even more pronounced now. It's going to be probably a case of waiting to see how things go in January, February, March, to see just how the market is actually performing, whether this lull is really a lull in the market as the media is describing it. There's things every day I'm seeing about negative things about the market and how it's slowing down and Auckland's on its way down and things like that, whereas really this is just a slowdown that we've been expecting based on the LVRs and based what's happened each time that they've changed the LVRs. In the past, the market has picked right back up in January, February and March, so that's really going to be what will be telling is how the market responds in January, February and March if we pick back up again. There's plenty of bank CEOs and economists and things like that already saying that they're expecting the market to pick back up in the new year, so I think that'll be really interesting. I don't think it's going to be a crazy hot market like it has been previously in those months. I think it will pick back up, but probably to a lesser degree. The other interesting thing about the market at the moment is that it's slow, and also we've had a massive increase in the amount of listings here in Pukekohe. So we were sitting at about 230 or 240 listings on the market in Pukekohe for most of the year. That's now up to 290-ish. So there's a massive increase in the supply, and the demand seems to be slightly softer. So I don't think there's going to be a huge amount of upwards pressure on house prices over the next couple of months locally, just based on the fact that there's plenty of supply there and things just seem to be a bit slower. So it's definitely interesting times. Looking at the market in general, there are still these low interest rates, record low interest rates, and there still seems to be a demand for housing in Auckland that isn't being met. So there's still a lot of net migration into Auckland City, and there's still probably not quite enough homes being built. So those underlying economic factors of supply and demand still seem to be there in the wider market. So I think that there's still probably a case for Auckland house prices continuing to rise, although I'm still cautious on my outlook of the property market, just because I know that the Reserve Bank has requested that the government allow them to consider using the debt to income ratios. So basically what that would mean is that the Reserve Bank would specify that people could only borrow up to, say, 5 times their income. So if you're earning $70,000 a year, you'd only be able to have debt of $350,000 a year. So it would be a multiple of your income. So the Reserve Bank is looking at doing something like that, and they've asked the government to allow them to consider doing that. If that happens, there are plenty of mortgage brokers and economists and people like that out there saying that that will have a massive dampening effect on the market. So that's it for this month's property market update. If you're ever curious about any of the topics that I raise in these property market updates, you're welcome to get in touch. Just give me a call. My phone number is displayed at the end of the video. Otherwise, I'm happy to catch up for a coffee even to go over things in detail. That's no problem at all. Look forward to seeing you all next month. Cheers.